Paul is away this weekend, but we do have him. We're going to bring him in right now. The regular host of this show, Paul Sir. And there we go. Lovely backdrop. Is it actually that green? I hope it's, I get that's a backdrop, but is that indicative of what's happening in Iowa right now, or no?
No, it's completely different, Doug. It's about minus 15, and it's completely covered with snow. So this is a much more optimistic background than what we're presently living with. So I'm living in a dreamland right now.
Well, it's definitely gotten a bit snowy here too when you get back to town. So a little more white stuff here, but hope the trip's going well for you down stateside, and we just had really good conversations with both David Kapinga and Catherine Adams, and you know those programs pretty well too, Paul. And I think as we discussed with both of them, just trying to find ways to build on the foundations they've got and gain some traction so that they can really become, I think, what they believe they can be, which is really, really strong competitors in Canada West.
It's just a matter of time, and I believe they've got two really great young coaches there that are going to get the job done. David was a real catch for them to bring his coaching, or his playing background, rather, his competitive spirit and his knowledge of the game. What a well-spoken young guy. He did just a great job in his conversation with you, and certainly listening to him, you can see that he's focused on the right things to bring about a winning program. And Catherine, I think, again, it's just hang with her because she will get the job done. It's really tough in a city that has it's a city of 1 million people. The basketball community continues to grow, but you've got lots of colleges. You've got a juggernaut in the University of Alberta that you're battling with for every player and every talent, and you've got to really build it your own way. But I think between Catherine and David, there are brighter days ahead for the McEwen Griffin program. That's for sure.
So let's jump now into the deep dive.
Paul, I have to jump in here.
You go, yeah, please.
It's something I just added in.
Yeah.
I just sent Josh a couple of photos. I'm in my hometown. Like, the photo in the background is actually my family's farm in the summertime. And the picture you see right now is the school gym in Cresco, Iowa, for Cresco High School. And last night, serendipitously, when I say we, I'm from a family of 8. I'm the oldest of 8. And we were able to all get together this weekend on our family farm. And as it worked out, our nephew, my brother Tim's son, Joseph, has a son who is a grade 10 for High School. Now, last year as a grade 9, he's an outstanding shooter. So we got to go and watch him play last night in the gym all of my brothers played in, and in the program that my father played in many, many years ago. And we got to watch Drake, his name is Drake, hit 6 3-pointers. He was 6 for 10 last night with 21 points as a sophomore.
Oh.
This kid can really, really shoot. And they have a fun team. They have some bigs. They have some guards. So we were able to take in a Hoosiers-like experience at the gym and really, really reveled in it. And I have another picture, and I really want to share this because it really ties into my love for the game of basketball, where it came from. My father was a very good basketball and baseball player. I was drawn to basketball at a very young age. And as I mentioned, I'm the oldest of 8, and I have brothers and sisters that all played not just high school ball. They were all first-team all-conference players, and they all played post-secondary basketball. So I have 4 brothers and a sister that all played, and all played very successfully. And I think we were calculating there was about 6,000 points scored between us in high school. And so our family is a basketball family. There you can see the picture in the lower right corner. That's myself and my brothers and my sister Mary. And they're just, not just great people. They were great players. And we have such a love for the game within our family. My mom, at 92, still locks in at the TV, was watching on YouTube last night when Drake was playing, watches the University of Iowa. So this is really Hoosiers for me. much more than a homecoming. It really is a pilgrimage.
And I think, Paul, it's hard again, you've said it and you've been a big part of it, the growth of basketball in this city and in this province, in this country for that matter. But I think it's hard for us, even living here on the prairies, to really understand the nature of what basketball means to, in the Midwest and small town in the Midwest. And I mean, you grew up in that. So, you gave us the picture gives us a good sense of it, but just maybe give us a sense of the history of that and the dynamics of what that really is like in some of those high school gyms.
Well, it's much more than a sport. It's much more than community. It's almost a sacred union, not to sound overly dramatic, of people working together and it meaning so much, not just to the players, but to, parents, families, school. Last night they had a wonderful student section cheering and harassing the other team. And, just everything about it was electric. We pulled into the parking lot. The parking lot was packed. The girls' game had a huge crowd. We had a real good crowd at the guys' game. And there just is a love and a genuine enthusiasm that is hard to duplicate. The closest I've seen really in Alberta and in Canada is down in southern Alberta, Raymond, Cardston. I mean, those towns have a very similar American style passion for the game. But yeah, it really is special. And I was recalling yesterday was the anniversary of my first grade 10 game. And I can remember that day like it was yesterday. And I mean, it's a long time ago. And this the magic, it was the first time I started on the senior team, and all the things that went around it. But it was just so much more than just the game of basketball and how it influences your relationships, your life, everything. The ties are really, and they're organic and they're tradition and they're over generations. And you can't just manufacture that. And it just has to be its own thing. And we certainly had that sense last night to come into the gym together, watch Drake play so many years down the road from when my dad first took the court in Cresco in 1949. Wow. We just have so much history and love for the game. And to be able to go and experience that was just something that was really, really special.
Well, and to bring it to a bit of a local context, I mean, you think about, we mentioned earlier in the show, the Reb Invitational next week and some of the other big tournaments are going that I think do a good job of bringing some of that atmosphere that you talk about. But again, it's just, it's talking to people like yourself, it's embedded differently, I think, in certain parts of the U.S. than we experience here in this country.
But I agree with you. I do. The passion that so many people in Edmonton, in Alberta, in Canada have for this game and how they're doing their best to create this experience. Anybody that can go to the Totem Hoop Classic can go to the Reb. You're going to get passion. You're going to get emotion. You're going to get when you're there, you're part of something special. Here, it's something special for virtually every game. That's the difference. Where in Canada, to this point, it's still one-offs, but it's getting better and better. There's so many people dedicated to the sport of basketball, to growing it, to playing it, to coaching it, officiating it, and it's growing. It's coming. New Canadians come in. What are the sports they love? Soccer and basketball. Those are the sports that they're drawing to. Basketball continues to grow and evolve. I mean, we're going to talk about the NBA and Canadians in just a second, Doug. But it's on a great trajectory. It just has to happen organically. Yep. You can't force it.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And with that, let's jump to Gimme 5. Josh Fenwick, let's bring you in with some really fun questions we're going to dive into here over the next little bit in the deep dive.
There's the guy.
Yeah.
Man, Josh, you're a lot better looking than I remember. You look really good on camera.
Thanks. I also got a haircut. Hi, Mom.
Oh my
By
gosh.
the way, got a haircut.
You're the full deal today.
Yeah, I got a haircut too, so we're all doing that here.
Looking really great over there, Doug.
I'm a little blinded, Doug, but no, it's okay.
It's the permanent haircut. It's good. It's just...
Yeah, all right, gentlemen, give me 5 on the deep dive. Oh, that rhymed. All
That's
right.
Good.
A lot of Canadians balling out in the NBA right now. What are the standouts? And And in one case, what is a really surprising performance that you've seen from a Canadian in the NBA? We got a lot of guards, but then, there's some forwards and things, but Nembhard twins, SGA, Jamal Murray, likes of those. Who's been standing out and who's been surprising?
Ryan Nembhard, who played at Creighton and then transferred to Gonzaga, led the nation in assists in his last year in the NCAA. 5'11", 160 pounds. He has gone to Dallas, and I think it's very well documented and people are aware of the Dallas drama, the ridiculous Nico Harrison trade of Luka Doncic to the Lakers for the oft-injured, outstanding but oft-injured Anthony Davis, all of it. And then they somehow, by, the basketball gods smiling on them, get Cooper flagged. But with the injuries that they've had a rough start out of the gate. So here comes this skinny little Canadian guy, and he lights it up. And he's doing a great job. He's like the glue guy for this team. And now they're reeling off wins, and they're looking like a team that you really don't want to play, where that 2 weeks ago you were looking forward to playing them. Cooper Flagg continues to come into his own. The Dallas Mavericks still have a bunch of injuries, but a big key has been Nembhard, who dropped 28 the other night, unexpectedly 28. So, the thing though is you can't teach size, but you also can't teach character. And this kid has loads of character. He's diminutive in size by NBA standards, but he proves once again it's the size of your heart and the size of your your basketball IQ that's going to lead you to success. So he's been such a pleasant surprise in the early going and solidified this struggling Dallas Maverick lineup. But my gosh, a few years ago, Doug and Josh, we were making a big deal out of the fact that there were over 20 Canadians in the NBA. But the reality was, when you went past Steve Nash, everybody else were, they're on NBA rosters. That's a huge accomplishment. But they weren't the stars. They were role players. We've got stars, and we've got big stars. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP. And, you can make a strong case. It's all down to he and Jokic for MVP for this year. For, I think, 22-1 now? The ridiculous record of OKC. Are they ever going to lose again? And SGA continues in a machine-like, unstoppable fashion, like every game. It's not a question of whether he gets over 20. It's how high into the 30s does he get? And he's still efficient, and he's making other people better. It's just he's amazing to watch. Jamal Murray dropped 52 against Indiana the other night. Jamal, he's a little up and down this year, but, he's got it back now. He's got his swagger back. Dylan Brooks, the guy who looks like he should be in the Godfather movie in his demeanor, because he looks more like a hitman and how he tries to portray himself. Career season in Phoenix. One of the key reasons why Phoenix has gone from an absolute dog of a team, a doormat, to a team now that's competitive every night. And Dylan, I think he's averaging just over 22 a game. He's a lockdown defender and one of the better trash talkers in the league. So I like that too, coming from a Canadian. And then the other night we got to see Shaedon Sharpe from Portland. And he's, I think, a strong candidate for sixth man of the year, but he's averaging over 20 a game, and he's just starting to tap his talent. I think he's just barely 21. So, we've gone from a lot of players in the NBA to a lot of the top players being in the NBA that are Canadians.
Yeah, when I was growing up, if there was, we had Mike Smrek, Bill Wennington. There were a handful, there weren't a lot of guys, right? And guys that were playing bit roles. And like you mentioned, these guys are playing huge roles. And I'll just add, I agree with everything you just said. I'll just add two quick things. Jamal Murray, interesting stat I read the other day that in his last three seasons, October, November, he's been around just over 17 points a game. But October, November this year, over 23. So he is bringing it a little bit earlier and just feels like maybe he's healthy again. Maybe he's sort of finding that consistency in his game that's been somewhat lacking, largely, I think, due to injury. And then I completely agree on Dylan Brooks. The offensive ability that he's been able to bring again, and we've seen flashes of it. He had 18 a game with Memphis a handful of years ago, but he's on pace right now for a career high. And everyone's known when you watch him with Team Canada, he's a lockdown defender, as you said, Paul. But now the ability for him to bring that offense, I mean, that changes Phoenix. Even if you look at the Canadian side of things heading down the road from the national team perspective, that changes the dynamic of what he can become, because as a more confident and useful scorer, that changes things too. So it's a really interesting mix of talent that Canada is developing, both in terms of what they're bringing to their NBA teams, but I think what the potential for a 2028 Olympic roster looks like, it starts to become a pretty scary group.
Well, and I think we have been hovering around that expectation of Canada finally getting into medal contentions, using the Olympics as the beacon, the ultimate. I mean, there's still such prestige attached to a gold medal in any of the sports in the Olympics, but basketball is special. Basketball is very special, and it has a unique history with the historical U.S. dominance and then the interseeding of various countries upsetting the Americans over the years. And Mike Krzyzewski back in 2000, I think it was either 96 or 2000, said, watch Canada. That team is going to be on the podium. Now, I think Mike suggested that it might be as early as 2020. We haven't gotten there yet, and I think everybody agrees it was a bit of a disappointment in the Paris Olympics when they got bumped out. But when they come back with a more experienced team, a couple of more big guys, because I think we all agreed having Zach Edey would have made a big difference. 7'4" in the middle, and in the FIBA game is very, very different than trying to go small against a lot of those big international players. So you're totally right. It looks brilliant for Canadians' future. And to see the impact at the highest level in the NBA, that's another one of those plateaus that Canadian players are reaching. And the trickle-down effect always, as we know, Doug and Josh, is that younger players start knowing that they can do it too, because they're seeing it done by their countrymen.
Let's step out. We're going to come up against a break here. Let's step out, and then we'll come back. We've got 4 more questions to go in Gimme 5. It's Doug MacLean, Paul Sir, Josh Fenwick. It's Hoop City here on Sports 1440. Doug MacLean along with Paul Sir, as we continue here with Josh Fenwick and Gimme 5. We got through question number 1. Let's jump to number 2.
All right, gentlemen. Question number 2. The Raptors, they lost pretty dramatically to the Lakers, and then they lay an absolute egg against the Charlotte Hornets last night. But the big storyline of the last 2 games, LeBron James, his double-figure scoring streak ends. 1,297 games. Second place, Michael Jordan, who had a not too shabby 866 straight games with double-digit points. He's in second. Can LeBron's streak ever be broken?
I look at it like Stockton's assist and steal record. It's never good. They probably will never be broken. I mean, get this. LeBron last scored in single digits in 2007 when Steve Jobs was announcing the first iPhone. That's one of the many little stories surrounding this. It's an incredible historical run. And, of course, there's always the GOAT debate, who's the greatest of all time. That's a whole different debate. But I just think this is an unreachable streak for anybody to be able to match that. Now, you say that. You look at Gilgeous-Alexander. It's hard to imagine him ever scoring in single digits. Any record can be broken, but this is one of those that, as I mentioned, other ones like Stockton's that are just going to be really, really, really difficult to have a shot at.
Yeah, I mean, this makes for boring radio because I can't argue with any of that. I think that's 100% true. I mean, the fact is that, and I mean, Gilgeous-Alexander is an interesting example. I mean, I think this year he's had 2 games of 23. Beyond that, he's been basically in the 30s and in the 40s all season long. So, but you look at a LeBron or a Jordan, I mean, focal parts of those teams' offenses for years and years and years and years and years. And that's the piece that has to continue to happen if you're SGA or whoever that can have a streak like that. I don't think it's breakable. I think it's impossible. But we might have been saying the same thing about Jordan at 800 plus. So you never know. But The only thing that makes me pause a little bit is just that these athletes are so well conditioned and so well trained now that they can play. It's the longevity piece. And again, like you said, Paul, we can get into the debate of who's better, Jordan or LeBron or others, but it's that longevity piece that is the one area where if you have an SGA, just to use him as the example, that can continue to be part of really, really good teams. And he has the kind of game that allows him to produce night in, night out. Like, he's not heavily reliant on the three-point shot. He's a guy that can score all over the place, just like LeBron could, just like Jordan could. So if there's a guy that could do it, it's probably him. But that longevity piece is the one that I think you have to have. You have to stay healthy. That's not ever always in your control. So I think it's unbreakable, but you never know.
Never know. It's one of those fun little asterisks that you look at and you say, and, you kind of have the opportunity to reflect on what a remarkable career LeBron has. Real quickly, before we jump to number 3, I'll just touch on the Raptors. We're seeing cracks right now with the Raptors. They had a 1-4 start. Then they went on a real nice streak, mostly against weak teams. And I think a lot of people said, okay, let's see when they start playing better teams. Charlotte's not a better team. And I think, but you also have to look at the injury bug. I mean, they didn't have Pirtle again. RJ Barrett's been out for a few games. Ingram had a dreadful game. As in Scotty Barnes too, they looked tired. They played tired. There's a great story happening in Charlotte right now with Con Knippel, the Dookie that we're going to talk about in the next question. Kind of reinvigorating a very, very a franchise you never even think of. Like when you think of the NBA, do you ever think of those Charlotte Hornets? Never, ever are they thought of. Knippel's made them relevant. So hopefully the Raptors can get back on track. Hopefully, more importantly, they can get the injured players back and the starters can stay healthy, because if they do, they're a pretty darn good team.
Jump to number 3.
Yeah. Just one more thing I want to add on the LeBron thing before we go to number 3, guys. So Kevin Durant currently has the longest streak now of double-digit point games in a row. He would have to score 10-plus points if he played all 82 games a season for the next 12 seasons to break LeBron's record. So
why not?
That's what I love stats.
Yeah,
you can make anything interesting with stats. You really can.
Just a fun little addition there. All right, number 3. There's a lot of new kids on the block in the NBA right now. You got big names like Cade Cunningham, first overall pick, and his running mate in Jalen Duren in Detroit. The Dukies, you said, Con Knippel, Cooper Flagg, and then people that were sort of written off but are still quite young, and like Josh Giddey and Denny Avdia. Austin Reeves is having a monster year, and a bunch of other players around the league. What do you take of these? What's your take on these new kids on the block here?
Man, oh man, are they fun to watch? Like Detroit, you talk about going from the outhouse to the penthouse. Like that's a lot. I guess I'm in Iowa too long. I'm starting to make a rural Iowa analogies. But Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren. I mean, Cunningham you knew was going to be really good when he came out of college. Duren has, I won't say come out of nowhere, but I think his development has been he's gone much further, much faster than anybody thought. Like, this guy's really good. Like, really good, both ends of the court. He's a great defender, great rebounder. His offensive game continues to get better and better. And when you look at the amazing turnaround in Detroit, I mean, 2 years ago, what did they lose? Like 38 games in a row. Yeah. There was some ridiculous stat from a couple of years ago. They were unbelievably bad, and thinking this is one of those multi-year rebuilds. And lo and behold, 2 years later, they're in the thick of it and arguably the best team in the East. And Cunningham and Duren are fabulous. It's fun to watch Knippel and Flagg because, everybody expected Cooper Flagg to be great. I think he's off to a good start. I don't think he's blown people out of the water with his start in Dallas, but when you watch him, he's getting better and better every game. He's the first player since LeBron James as an 18-year-old to have 3 consecutive 20-point games in a row. Like, the guy's really, really good. He's gonna live up to his billing over his career if he avoids serious injuries. There was always questions about Con Knippel, whether he was going to be able to, is he quick enough? Is he athletic enough? Well, we know the answer now. He's not only really good, he's really tough. And he's just been a lot of fun, and he's made a very boring Charlotte team, I think, a team of interest and a lot of fun to watch. But I thought that was a great term, Josh, like some of the forgotten ones, like Josh Giddey got unceremoniously traded from Oklahoma City. He's helping Chicago get better quickly. He's really good. Watching Denny Avila from Portland, I don't know if you've seen him play, Doug, but my gosh, Israeli player.
Yep.
That, of course, makes him unique anyway. But what this guy can play, and man, is he fun to watch. The versatility in his game, his ability to read the game, score, pass, set people up. He's long. His ball handling and passing skills are great. He's just a real pleasure to watch.
I mean, are we in an era now, Paul? I mean, I'm curious for your take, and Josh, yours too. Like, where you always had the guys at the top end of the draft that could step in and play and contribute right away. But it seems like we're starting to see more and more players that you can pick later in the draft that can step in and contribute pretty quickly. And that's something that I don't think, if I think back on years past in the NBA, that wasn't the case. And so are we at a bit of a different era too, in terms of how young players are even being deployed and used, and the fact that they can step in and contribute to some degree right off the hop?
I'm going to jump first, Josh, and really would look forward to your opinion. But I think my theory is one of the impacts that the OKC Thunder have had on the rest of the league is that you don't have to play like everybody else. You don't have to play small ball. It doesn't have to be all threes and layups. And, poor Josh has heard me rail on analytics over and over and over. And you have too, Doug. I bore everybody to tears with it.
I'm with you. So, hey, it's all good.
Well, it takes the humanity out of the game and turns it into a statistical stew, a nonsense stew of guys with pocket pens that never played. And so but I think deploy is a great word, because there are so many players that bring unique talents into the NBA. And I think what teams are doing a much better job on is accepting individuality and identifying unique talents and skills and building systems that give people the opportunity to take those elite level skills and be successful. And Gilgeous-Alexander leads the pack from this standpoint of he has popularized the maligned mid-range game. So now more players are shooting teardrops, pull-up jump shots. It's no longer out of vogue to do that. Teams are embracing that. And so they're taking teams with unique skills and allowing those skills to be expressed and developed. I mean, Austin Reeves, we mentioned him. I mean, he's killing the league. The guy's averaging over 28 a game. He's tearing it up. It's one of the reasons I think he's the main reason LeBron James is taking such a secondary role, because we knew Luka was going to be ball dominant, but you had no idea that Austin Reeves was going to be an upper echelon scorer and talent and impact the Lakers the way that he has. What are your thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I agree with you. There's the game is it's evolving in a way that it's devolving. It's going back to the way it used to be played, which I mean, like,
that wasn't fun to watch. It's really fun to watch guys just chucking threes and shooting layups. That's much better.
Yeah, I know. Just wow, that's what I love to turn my TV on for. Yeah. But I also think that, like, I have to whipping it into anyone that's watching that's also a hockey fan, is like the NHL has moved to such a skill game, and that's what that has happening to the NBA now. Everyone has so much skill. Yeah. It's not just a size game anymore. It's, can you get to your spots, and what's your footwork like, and all these things. And so those can kind of fall to the wayside because everyone is so skilled. Everyone wants to show off their skills. So when you go deeper into the draft, and then a couple guys go down to injury, and now all of a sudden you got your second round pick playing 13 minutes a night, and oh my God, he put up 15 points tonight. What's going on? That was pretty good efficiency. All of a sudden you find out these guys are really skilled, like what happened with Austin Reeves. He just slowly carved out a role for himself on the Lakers, and now this year in games without Luka, he's averaging 40 points per game with 10 assists. Like, What are we talking about here? I never thought LeBron would play third fiddle in his career, and now here we are. Austin Reeves is the second man on that roster.
Do you think, Doug, the Raptors hoped that Grady Dick would be a similar developing player to Austin Reeves? And it's a true two-pronged thought. Is Dick now in that unenviable position where the coaches obviously don't have confidence in him?
Yep.
He's obviously on a short leash. In this environment, can we ever see whether or not Grady Dick has much more of an upside than he presently appears to have?
I think you're right. I think that's exactly what they thought he would be, is that complementary guy to Scotty Barnes. Of course, they brought Brandon Ingram in as well to be a real focal point offensively, and maybe that's pushed Grady Dick a little further down. I mean, he's clearly shown flashes, but you're right. The inability for him to be consistent, I think, has made it difficult. But maybe now, I mean, again, and you hinted at it earlier. I mean, they had a tough start, good run, tough little stretch here lately. Does that allow a guy like him to get back in? And I think you brought up a great point earlier that teams need to figure out what they are rather than trying to figure out what everybody else is and combat or become exactly that. And so I use that just to say that I think a guy like Dick that has a decent stroke, he's some versatility to his game as well. Can he be a guy that can just provide that extra piece to the Raptors? Because at the moment, if you're not playing him, he's an asset that you're not going to get much in moving him, so that doesn't make a lot of sense. So you're kind of stuck a little bit of trying to figure out how you continue to develop him. And I think for a team like the Raptors that aren't always going to be a top draw free agency-wise, you have to find ways to develop your players. And at least to this point, it hasn't evolved maybe the way that they would have liked with Grady Dick.
Well, and they in the first season, as I recall, they put him down into a two-way situation with the 905 G League team, so he could develop his strength, develop confidence. So there was an effort up front. But like, to me, last night was one of those games where he should have had the opportunity, and he should have been ready for the opportunity to go in and make an impact. Because obviously they were fatigued. They have injuries. What an opportunity to seize the moment. And it looks to me like the confidence of lacking the blend rather of a lack of coaching confidence. And it looks like Grady, he has more confidence in his shaving commercials than he has in his game on the court. And I think that he just was not ready for the moment. And that has to change. So why don't we jump up to number 4, Big Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of things going well for a lot of franchises in the NBA right now. A lot of things going not so well. You got some sunshine and lollipop teams. You have some partly clouded teams listed. And then you have slow motion train wrecks. Who fall into those categories there?
Well, I mean, of course, OKC, a juggernaut, unstoppable, just beating everybody, good teams, bad teams. Right now, it doesn't matter. They look literally unbeatable. The Golden State Warriors, after a loss to OKC this past week, said, yeah, this is a team that could break our 73-win record, certainly. But Houston, the acquisition of Durant, the solidifying of their lineup, the accelerated development of Amen Thompson, still one of the great names in the league filled with great names. Spurs winning without Wembanyama, very encouraging. Detroit, of course. Knicks are tough. Raptors, I kind of move those over into the partly cloudy category. And Miami, and the only reason I mentioned Miami is they shouldn't be winning games. They're not that good with their talent. But this is a prime example of adaptability at the coaching level. They've taken away the screen and roll style of play, and it's just 7 seconds or less. And as Ben Golliver pointed out last week, it's more like 4 seconds or less to get a shot. It's just rat ball. It's high-level, high-skilled rat ball, and they're just going. And nobody expects that they're going to win a playoff series, but man, are they fun to watch? And they are winning games that they probably shouldn't. Anybody you would add to the Sunshine and Lollipops crew, Doug?
I'm going to add one, and I don't know if maybe it's can I create a partly sunny category? We have a partly cloudy category.
Sure.
I'm going to create a partly sunny category.
That's great.
And I'm going to throw the Orlando Magic into that partly sunny category. They're 14-9. They had a 500 season a year ago, got to the playoffs, won the play-in, lost to the Celtics. But they're 7-3 in their last 10. And they're a team, and I'm with you on the analytics. I think it's interesting stuff, but I'm not sure it's always that useful. But I'm going to use a couple numbers that have jumped out to me that would be more in the analytics category. And it's things that I like to see in a basketball team. They're third in the league in terms of how they in terms of fast break points. So they're a team that plays with pace. They lead the league in drive points per game, and they're fourth in second chance points. Those are some underlying things that, in my mind, push you to become a better team. You've got Franz Wagner, who's been really, really good for them. They get Paolo Banchero back. So they're a team that, again, not flashy necessarily, but some of those underlying things that to me indicate a team that battles hard and is playing the game, as we've all been discussing here in the last 20 minutes, are playing the game in a way that I think is where the game is going. Pushing the pace, using skill, taking shots where you get them, not relying just at the rim or just beyond the arc. So I'll throw the Orlando Magic into that conversation a little bit.
I love the partly sunny, and I would even, they're not quite sunshine. They're not quite at that level, but they could be mid-season.
Yep.
You're absolutely right. The partly cloudy teams to me are Boston only. In a lot of ways, I think they're in that partly sunny category that you've created, Doug, because I think they're exceeding expectations. Without Jason Tatum, with the amount of salary that they had to dump and the talent they had to unload, for them to be winning games. And the other night they played the Timberwolves, and Jaylen Brown and Anthony Edwards just put on a show of just such high skill offensively. I'm throwing Cleveland in because I think I don't think they're underachieving. I think they're surprised that they're not winning more games, but they didn't sneak up on people this year like they did last year. And I think that's a team that should get better through the year. And by the time playoffs come around, solidify its very talented roster and get some key pieces back from injury reserve as well. The Nuggets, I think
well, last night,
they have
a huge deficit, and then they, big comeback and beat the Hawks. So, I mean, there's maybe their season in a bit of a nutshell.
100%. And, of course, on that night, who's the guy that's throwing them on their back and lugging them back into the game and putting up monstrous numbers? I mean, Jokic is like – it's like watching Mozart write, a new piece of music. The guy is ridiculous. The things he does, the variety of ways that he does the things he does, it's just incredible. But Timberwolves are another team. I still don't buy them. I like them because I'm a fan of the Timberwolves, but I don't like their bench that much. I love Edwards, of course. I think their starting five and Naz Reid are fine. We go beyond that, they're pretty suspect. But they'll be in the thick of it again, and they may win a playoff series but they really need to make a couple of moves to solidify their bench. But the slow motion train wrecks, I just love that image. Man, can you just see the Clippers, standing on the engine of the train as it's about to shoot over the edge of the bridge into the gulch? Like, what a terrible basketball story.
Yeah. And a history of it.
What a train wreck.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you look at that franchise and they've had opportunities, they've been good in stretches, and they've never been able to maintain it. They've never been able to build on anything from the earlier, and we'll touch on Chris Paul before we wrap up this segment, but the Chris Paul, Blake Griffin days they get Kawhi, and they've just never been able to find a way to become overly relevant. And I think they're the perfect example of a history-long train wreck from their San Diego days.
The Elgin Baylor curse. Yeah. Elgin Baylor, the great NBA player, absolutely a cursed general manager. I don't know if it was because he just wasn't good at his job or it was just a poisoned culture right from the start. But you're right. I mean, and I think that's a perfect time to bring in point number 5. Chris Paul gets the boot unceremoniously at this stage in his career. But you know what? if I had to just say outside looking in, you never really know what happens unless you're in the boardroom with the people. That's Chris Paul's fault.
Yeah.
He is, reputationally, he is one of the most difficult players to have on your team. He's a know-it-all. He's vocal. He's condescending. He's negative. And I heard one of the shows the other day. What was the guy's name? I can't think of his name, but he had a bunch of NBA guys, and they were ripping on Paul about keep your mouth shut, wave to the crowd. It's your last year. Why are you in the locker room and in the media ripping on your teammates and your coach and telling everybody how they need to do it when you can't do it anymore? Yeah. And I mean, that's the fact. He can't perform anymore at an elite level.
And I think that's the difference. I mean, I think it's one thing, and I'm not saying that teams or players will always love that kind of pushing, but they'll live with it when you're putting up 20 plus a game and, double-digit assists. But when you're 2.5 points a game and whatever he's averaging, 14, 15 minutes a game, it's just not going to happen. And contrast that, and again, I know it's a different thing altogether, but contrast that with the description of team that we heard earlier from Micah Reed with the Nadukes and how she described what a good teammate means and what you do to listen and understand your teammates and know how they need to be pushed, how they need to be challenged. A guy like Chris Paul, that doesn't even compute. Like, it's just there's one way to do it, and this is the only way that you do it. You never adapt, and you live the consequences. And it's a reason why he's bounced around all over the place, because he just outlives his welcome. And I think it's just such a contrast to sort of think about that mindset of team versus what Micah described and what she sees in terms of what they're doing with the Nadukes. And I think it's a really interesting discussion around leadership and how you build a functioning, successful program. And the Clippers just haven't been that. And Chris Paul has been part of that a couple times.
And the irony of what you're just saying, Doug, which is right on, it translates whether it's high school, college, or pro. That's number one. But number two, the irony of Gilgeous-Alexander getting traded away by the Clippers and being a major part of creating the exact culture that you just described, that's the basis for success, which is another outcome that's impacting the mentality of the league right now, is we got to build our culture from within using the draft, less emphasis on buying superstar teams. We've gone over, and I appreciate you guys taking the time with me, but one final thought, and just real briefly, will Giannis be traded by Milwaukee this season? What do you think, Doug?
Oh, as much as it pains me to say this as a Bucks fan, a lifelong Bucks fan, yes, I think he will. And I think it's the better thing for him. And frankly, I think depending on the return, of course, it's the better thing for the franchise. I don't think they're going to be in a position to build what they need around him at this stage. I think they can, again, if they can get the right mix of picks and some players that can step in. It can't just be picks. They got to get some players that can step in, which is what, when Josh and I were talking earlier around who is the right fit, can you get, who has the talent that they can give up that can step in and contribute right away to the Bucks. So and I'm not sure where our poll's at, Josh, but I think it happens. And I think, like I said, unfortunately, and it pains me, I think it has to happen.
Great answer. Josh, what do you think?
If you want a poll update, 75% of the people are saying, yes, the Bucks should trade Giannis.
Okay, so that's good. So the Bucks are going to go back to what they were for most of my life, which is completely irrelevant, and no one knows them. And I've, hey, as a Bucks fan, it's been fun walking around this city or other places I've been and seeing people wearing Bucks anything, jerseys, shirts. I was usually the only guy. And now there's like some of us, but they're all going to go away now. So I'll be back to the only guy in town with a Bucks anything. So.
You know what? So what I find fascinating about history is how it tends to repeat itself. I think of Portland. Let's draft big guys with bad feet, and take it at a high pick. And no, we don't need Michael Jordan. Let's take Sam Bowie.
That's right.
But then they draft Greg Oden. Yeah. Milwaukee had a fellow by the name of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and this is the same identical scenario. Is they came to a point where they had to make a move, and they got 4 players from the Lakers: Len Elmore, Brian Winters, and it took a while, but they became respectable again. But they took a step back. I see it as well, though, as an inevitability. It kind of is at that critical mass point now that Giannis is still hungry for a championship. probably not going to happen. Small market teams, they can't go into the second apron and start trying to pay people to build around him. So if you can find, as you pointed out very well, Doug, if you can find a good return on trading Giannis, it probably will be an inevitability. And we'll see if Milwaukee, I mean, they've given it their best. They've won a championship. I think Giannis has been a great citizen for their great representative for their franchise. I don't think he's an ungrateful man.
No,
I just think it's one of those things that's kind of reached the end of its run, and it's time to move on.
It'll be one of those situations where a player gets moved and the city still loves him and he still loves the city. I think that's going to be something that doesn't often happen in any sport. And I think that will happen in this situation. And I think that says a lot about him. And I think hopefully says a little bit about the franchise as well in the Milwaukee Bucks. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on that.
Absolutely.
Well, Paul, I know you've been away and enjoying some family time, so continue to do that. And thanks for hopping on your show. And I've kept the seat warm. I hope it's all good for you when you get back next week. You guys have done a great job. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to being back next week. But Doug, can't thank you enough.